Expose 3 haunting true suburban horror tales that reveal sinister secrets and unexplained terror. In the heart of Cedar Creek, a place that seemed too perfect to be true, the darkness lurked just beyond the manicured lawns. Claire, a single mother of 2, knew the town's charm but felt the unease lick at the edges of her sanity, while she balanced night shifts at the local hospital with her children's needs. Each night, her world would shift from the sterile white halls of the ER to the unsettling stillness of their home. And that's when the whispers began. Under the cover of darkness, strange rustling outside would invade her exhausted mind, penetrating through the thin walls. Was it a raccoon? A stray cat? The questions buzzed too loudly, refusing to let her sleep. But Claire had to remain strong for Tyler and Lily. They needed her. The vibrant laughter of her children was a balm to her worries, but even that could not mask the growing dread gnawing at her gut. One day, while tending to the small backyard, Claire noticed peculiar symbols etched in the mud. Her heart raced. The town's folklore, those chilling stories about an ancient cult rumored to lurk in the shadows, tangled with her thoughts, taunting her. A creeping sense of paranoia settled in as she tried to maintain normalcy. Telling herself it was just her overactive imagination provided a momentary relief until her neighbor, Mr. Keller, caught her eye. That friendly smile of his had a probing undertone, an unsettling intensity that hinted at something dark beneath the surface. He watched her and her children with a gaze she couldn't shake off. It made her skin crawl, igniting a spark of fear that got brighter with each encounter. Then came the night at the hospital, the moment Claire's world truly tilted. She overheard a hushed conversation about missing neighbors, cases no one ever talked about in polite company. Her heartbeat quickened as she reflected on the growing list of people who vanished without a trace. Cedar Creek didn't feel as safe anymore. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each sleepless night grew thicker with dread. Each glance from Mr. Keller felt like a noose tightening around her. Claire dove into Cedar Creek's history, uncovering spine-chilling connections between Mr. Keller and the cult her grandmother had whispered about. Her instincts cried for her to protect her children, but she felt as though she walked on quicksand, with each desperate step dragging her deeper into darkness. One night, she could no longer bear it. The children's laughter faded as she ventured into the attic, heart pounding. There, amidst the dust and shadows, she found trophies of terror, items reported missing from neighbors, eerily preserved. The weight of the discovery crushed her resolve, drawing her back to Mr. Keller, the puzzle piece that loomed larger than life. As she faced him on her porch, armed with the truth but trembling with fear, the laughter of her children slipped into a muffled hush. The ground beneath her shifted, the neighborhood was changing. Whispering threats she couldn't understand. If she stayed, they might vanish too. The question pierced her heart: how far would she go to uncover the sinister truth hiding behind Cedar Creek's friendly facade? And could she outsmart Mr. Keller before the smiles around her transformed into something grotesque? The tension hung thick in the air, a chilling fog cloaking Claire's senses. She faced Mr. Keller, the very embodiment of Cedar Creek's dark underbelly. The porch creaked under her weight, each squeak urging her to flee. But retreat wasn't an option, not now, not when her children were in danger. She squared her shoulders, forcing herself to meet his piercing gaze. "Mr. Keller," she managed, her voice shaky but resolute, "I know what you've been doing. I know about the missing people." His smile widened, a predatory grin that sent a fresh wave of terror coursing through her veins. "Isn't it fascinating, Claire? What lies beneath our beautiful facade? You're quite the observer, I must say." Panic knotted in her stomach. "What do you want from me?" He stepped closer, the faint scent of damp earth and something rotten clinging to him, making Claire's throat tighten. "It's not about what I want, but what you can see. Or choose to ignore. You know, some truths are best left buried. For your sake, I hope you're not the curious type." Her heart raced. She needed to buy time. "If you know I'm watching, then others must be too. You have no power over me." He chuckled, low and menacing. Ah, but you underestimate the power of fear, Claire. We control it here. This neighborhood thrives on it. Would you like a glimpse into that world? Before she could process his words, he produced an old, rusted key from his pocket, dangling it before her. Come visit. It's time for you to see the real Cedar Creek. With that he turned away, laughter echoing as he melted into the shadows. Shocked, Claire stumbled back, breathless. She locked the door, leaning against it as icy dread closed in. What was she supposed to do? If his presence churned her stomach, the thought of stepping into his world seared her mind. The children safely tucked into bed whispered innocence that felt worlds away from the darkness creeping ever closer. Her phone buzzed, jolting her from her paralysis. A notification. It was from the Cedar Creek community page, the kind that usually share bake sales and lost pet notices. But this one was different. Missing the Thompsons. Last seen, Mr. Keller's property. She felt the blood drain from her face, reality crashing in like a tsunami. The Thompsons. The happy couple she'd seen at the park just last month. A flash of their smiling faces invaded her mind, twisting into a nightmare. Lily stirred, murmuring her name from the room down the hall. Claire rushed to her side, holding her tightly. The warmth of her daughter now a fragile shield against the encroaching evil. Tyler slept deeply, oblivious to the terror that wrapped around them like a vice. But resting wouldn't come easy. The attic. Those trophies she found. Claire's heart raced as paranoia seeped back in. What if he was watching them now? Scraps of fear wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. Something had to be done. She couldn't sit idle. Gripping her phone tightly, she steeled herself. Maybe she could gather evidence. Confront him or rally the neighbors. No more passive fear. She needed to expose him, but as she planned, a rasping sound broke the stillness, a scraping on the window. Claire's heart thundered in her chest. She crept to the window, dread curling in her stomach. Peering out into the night, she gasped. Beneath the glow of the street lamp stood a figure, cloaked in shadow. Beyond Mr. Keller, someone else was watching. With a sharpened sense of urgency, she realized the danger was much more insidious than she ever imagined. Could she keep her children safe when they weren't the only ones being hunted? And were her suspicions about Mr. Keller just the beginning of her nightmare? The night felt dense with looming threats, and as she pulled away from the window, Claire understood one chilling truth. Something sinister was stirring in Cedar Creek, and she was now at its center. What awaited her in the depths of the town's secrets? Cold sweat trickled down Claire's spine as she stood frozen, heart hammering against her ribcage. The figure outside remained still, swallowed by darkness, yet she felt its gaze boring into her. Whispers from the sleeping house begged for her attention as Lily shifted again, innocently unaware of the horrors now lurking just beyond their walls. Claire glanced frantically around her dim living room, searching for anything useful. The lamp flickered weakly, casting a wavering light that danced with uncertainty. Wrapping her arms around herself, she fought the urge to scream. What if this was the moment everything changed? The scraping noise continued, relentless like fingernails against glass. It rooted her to the spot, paralyzing her with fear. Just as she mustered the courage to bolt away from the window, she caught movement. The figure stepped foot onto the porch and Claire's blood froze. "Mom?" Lily's voice pulled her back momentarily from despair, but she dared not answer through the thin curtain. Claire could barely make out details. The figure was tall, clad in black, a hood shadowing its features. It raised a hand, tapping lightly on the glass. Each hit landed like a death knell. Seconds bled into eternity. All Claire could think about was the key. That rusted thing that could unlock Mr. Keller's secrets. Had Keller sent this shadow after her? Was he testing her resolve? And more importantly, could this figure be yet another puppet of the nightmare festering inside Cedar Creek? With shaking hands, Claire eased the curtain aside just enough to see. Panic surged anew. There was something familiar about the figure, a flash of recognition that shot through her. Then her breath escaped her chest with a cracked gasp. Tyler! She turned, feet moving before she could think. But the moment she called out his name, shadows seemed to shift and twist outside. Silence gripped the night like a vice. Tyler, you need to stay in your room. She should have called for help, but the urgency of the situation seized her tongue. Whatever was outside was far too close to her children. Suddenly, the figure stepped closer to the window, revealing a face that made Claire's stomach lurch. It was a woman, pale, disheveled, eyes wide with terror, like someone dredged from the depths of a nightmare. Was it one of the missing? "Help me!" The woman's whisper barely reached Claire, but it was laced with desperation. "He's coming. You have to leave." Claire barely let her heart beat once more before she bolted to Tyler's room. She flung the door open, finding him still asleep, blissfully unaware of the danger inching toward them. Scooping him into her arms, she rocked him awake, murmuring, "We have to go, honey. Now. What about Lily? Grab her." The 2 seconds felt like hours. Claire's instincts screamed at her, urging her away from the windows and doors, into the shelter of the darkness. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the woman clawing desperately at the window, as if trying to breach the barrier, a grotesque twisted tableau echoing her plea. The children blinked, confused, as they gathered themselves. "Mom," Tyler's small voice broke through the chaos, laden with fear. "What is happening? We're leaving now. Trust me." With that, she dashed down the hall, each creak of the floorboard sounding like a death knell. But as she reached the living room, the window shattered with a deafening crash. Cold air rushed into the home, and the figure the woman stood silhouetted against the darkness. The true terror of Cedar Creek had entered her sanctuary. "Don't let him take you too." In a flurry of instinct and maternal urgency, Claire grabbed her children and sprinted toward the kitchen door. What awaited her outside was unknown, but she was no longer waiting for fate to decide her path. She would face this terror head-on. Claire flung open the door, and the night air swallowed them whole. But the shadows in the woods surrounding her home loomed large, closing in like predators after their prey. They were not alone in Cedar Creek. As she took her first step into the dark embrace of the trees, a low laughter echoed from behind them, chilling her to the bone. What had she unleashed by confronting the truth? Would running bring them safety, or plunge them deeper into horror? She felt the cold fingers of fear wrap tightly around her throat. The shadows had come alive, drawn by the whispers of dread that had filled the night. What awaited them in the depth of those dark trees? The chilling laughter rolled through the trees, wrapping around Claire like icy fingers. She clutched Tyler and Lily tighter, her heart thundering in her chest, blood pounding in her ears. She could feel the dark presence closing in, an unseen predator lurking just beyond the fringes of the dim moonlight. "Mom," Tyler whimpered, burying his face into her shoulder. Lily clung to her leg, wide-eyed and trembling. "Shush," she whispered, forcing her voice to remain steady despite the terror gripping her. "We need to keep moving." But where to? The woods surrounded them in a suffocating embrace, branches like skeletal hands reaching out, scraping against each other in a menacing rustle. Shadows flickered and danced, forming shapes that twisted in her periphery, making every instinct scream for her to run. With her breath coming in shallow bursts, Claire forced herself to look ahead. The path forked into two. One direction snaked deeper into the woods, while the other led toward the road that meandered along the edge of Cedar Creek. She knew she had to choose, and quickly. "Mom, please," Tyler cried out, his small voice breaking through the intense silence. It fueled her adrenaline. Claire glanced back at the house, now just a dark silhouette in contrast to the moon's glow. The woman was gone. Had she been real? Or simply another figment of her fear? But echoes of that desperate plea still rang in her ears. "He's coming. There." Claire pointed to the road, desperation fueling her. "We go towards the road. We can get help." Racing against time, they plunged forward. The underbrush crunched beneath their feet, the sound a thunderous percussion in the stillness of the night. Every crack of a branch sent jolts of fear cascading down Claire's spine. As they broke through the tangle of trees, the road stretched before them, illuminated by the soft glow of a distant streetlight. Relief surged through Claire, but it came crashing down just as quickly. A figure stood in the distance, partially cloaked in shadows. "Mom, who is that?" Lily's voice quivered, eyes wide with unmistakable fear. "I don't know." Claire's stomach churned. There was something eerie about that figure. Motionless, staring. It felt wrong, like the calm before a storm. "Run!" she shouted, panic splintering her voice. She grabbed both children by the hands, pulling them along as she sprinted down the road. The figure remained behind them, its stillness a haunting promise that they weren't alone. Suddenly the laughter erupted again, this time closer, echoing around them. The sound wrapped around her mind, crawling under her skin. Claire could feel eyes upon them, even in the darkness. "Keep going," she urged, not daring to look back. An invisible weight pressed against her chest, threatening to suffocate her. Her heart raced as they ran, breathless with fear. Just when Claire thought they were escaping, when hope flickered dimly in her mind, she heard a rustle in the trees beside them. A flash of motion blurred past, just out of sight. Dread twisted her stomach into knots. Then came a voice, low and taunting, barely a whisper carried by the wind. "You can't run from me," Claire stumbled, terror seizing her heart. The voice, it was familiar, yet impossibly warped. It wrapped around her, crushing her resolve. "Mom, what is happening?" Tyler's small hand trembled in her grip. "We have to keep moving," she replied, forcing her voice to remain calm, though the beast of dread clawed at her insides. She needed a plan. Just a little further. But deep down, Claire feared they might not escape. The night, thick with secrets, watched them as they fled. Suddenly the ground beneath them shifted. A low rumble echoed through the air, and the trees seemed to murmur in warning. "Mom!" Lily screamed as the earth cracked beneath her foot. "Grab my hand." Claire yanked both children close, keeping their balance as panic surged. In that moment of vulnerability, Claire felt the shadows shift again, closing in. And then, just as they reached the edge of the road, darkness surged forth from the trees like a wave, consuming the path ahead. The laughter returned, louder and more menacing. "What have you awoken?" it sneered. Claire's chest constricted. They were trapped at the edge of darkness, caught between fear and the terrible unknown. What more had they unleashed by leaving their home? What were they truly running from? With shadows at their backs and terror looming ahead, Claire had never felt so exposed. Would they have the strength to face whatever horrors awaited? Or were they already lost in the grip of Cedar Creek's secrets? The darkness swirled around them, a suffocating blanket veiling all hope. Claire gripped her children's hands, but even in that tight hold, the fear seeped through her like ice water. She turned her head, desperately searching for any sign of salvation, but the road melted into blackness, as if it were an illusion meant to draw them deeper into despair. "What do we do, Mom?" Tyler's voice wavered, quaking with raw vulnerability, a stark reminder of how young he was in this hellish moment. Claire swallowed hard. "We don't stop. We keep moving." She took a step forward, pushing the weight of dread behind her. The laughter rang out once more, tauntingly. It echoed through the trees, seeming to reverberate within the very air they breathed. It felt alive, feeding off their fear, urging them to falter. Then something shifted just beyond the tree line, a flicker of movement that twisted her stomach. Claire turned, but it was gone like smoke in the night. She squeezed her eyes shut, forcing them open again, wishing the terrifying images would fade. The trees pressed in closer, their jagged branches choking the path. "Look!" Lily pointed a shaking finger to a faint glow in the distance. Claire squinted, hope brewing in her chest. The street light. They raced towards it, each step jarring their senses, dragging them closer to whatever waited in the shadows. But just as they approached, the light flickered violently, plunging them back into darkness. Anxiety tightened its grip around Claire's throat. It felt as if the very ground they stood on churned and protested, ready to swallow them whole. "Why isn't it lighting up?" Tyler cried, panic rising in his voice. "Keep going," Claire shouted, half in hope, half in fear. They pressed onward, but with each stride something seemed off-kilter. The air thickened, a palpable tension settling in. The laughter swelled again, echoing around them. It was hauntingly familiar. It rattled Claire's bones and pulled at her mind, weaving through her memories. She glimpsed a shape at the edge of her vision. It moved swiftly and silently, almost like a shadow escaping dusk. "Did you see that?" she gasped. "See what?" Lily's eyes darted nervously, searching the encroaching chaos. "Nothing," Claire replied, forcing a brave smile, but her heart raced with unease. "Just keep close." In that moment she felt the ground tremor again, this time accompanied by a low growl that seeped through the air. Dread cascaded over her as she put her hands over her children's ears, shielding them from the horrors that lurked in the night. "Mom, I'm scared," Tyler whimpered, his small body shaking. "I know, sweetheart, I know." she murmured, pulling them closer as if she could shield them from the darkness itself. But the shadows weren't just surrounding them, they were moving. Just as Claire's mind spiraled deeper into panic, a figure burst through the trees, surprising her so much she nearly screamed. A man, ragged and wild-eyed, stumbled onto the road. "Run!" he shouted, his voice raw and frenzied. But his words were swallowed by a scream, a sound that split through the air like a knife. Claire froze. Who's coming? The man whipped his head around, his expression twisting with terror. "The woman in white. She's coming for you. You need to." The ground rumbled beneath them, drowning out his voice as trees began to sway dangerously, branches snapping in rapid succession. "Mom!" Lily shrieked, nearly pulled off her feet as Claire yanked her back. The shadows twitched violently, as if responding to the man's warning. "Go! All of you go!" he yelled, diving into the woods as if seeking refuge from an invisible predator. "Wait!" Claire called out, but he was gone, swallowed by the darkness. Her heart raced. What did he mean? The woman in white. "Mom, we need to follow him. We can't be out here," Tyler begged, tugging at her. But could she? Was it better to follow the unknown, or to stay where the danger loomed like a heavy cloud? Laughter erupted around them, loud and manic, and all at once, the trees parted, revealing a path that led deeper into the woods, a path bathed in a ghostly glow. Claire hesitated, the shadows behind them closing in, the menacing spirit seeming to breathe down her neck. How much longer could they really run? With a deep breath, she grasped the hands of her children and stepped into the otherworldly light. What awaited them down this path? Were they running toward safety, or into the very heart of their nightmare? As they walked forward, the laughter quieted, but a whisper stung the back of Claire's mind. "You can never escape." They moved deeper into the glow, a sickly light that warped the world around them. Shadows danced and flickered, like broken figures molded by fear. Claire couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, not just by the darkness pressing in at their backs, but from somewhere hidden beyond the light. "Where are we?" Lily whimpered, her voice trembling. Claire felt the warmth leaving her daughter's small hand. "Just a little further," Claire replied, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. She fought against the urge to look back, not wanting to confirm what she both feared and anticipated. Ahead, the glow intensified, emerging from a clearing swathed in an eerie brightness. They stepped into the clearing, breaths hitching at what awaited them. It was a tableau of desolation. Overturned children's toys lay strewn across the dirt, and remnants of what looked like a picnic scattered like offerings to a dark deity. "Mom, this ain't right," Tyler said, his brows knitted tight. "I know, honey. Just stay close," she urged, but inside dread twisted into knots. The shadows here felt thicker, shrouding corners where fears could linger. The laughter was gone, replaced by an unsettling silence that pressed in like a physical weight. Then, as if called forth by her thoughts, the woman in white appeared. She stood at the edge of the light, a figure wreathed in flowing fabric, her gown like billowing mist. The woman's face was a porcelain mask, smooth and emotionless, but her eyes were a different story. They were wide and hollow, pits of darkness that seemed to consume light. Claire felt her heart lurch. "Children." The voice slithered through the air like a snake. "Come to me. I can help you. Run." Claire shouted instinctively, pulling Tyler and Lily back. But the children stood transfixed, their gazes locked on the woman, drawn in by something Claire could not see. "Come," the woman urged again, now weaving slowly toward them, her steps impossibly graceful, despite the weight of danger that trailed in her wake. "I know your fears, your pain. I can take it all away." "What do we do, Mommy?" Tyler's voice cracked, uncertainty clouding his features. Claire's mind raced, but time felt elastic, stretching painfully as she fought against the fog of fear threatening to consume them. "We don't listen," she said fiercely. "She's lying." "Why is she lying?" Lily whispered, eyes wide and innocent. The woman chuckled softly, melodious yet chilling. "Oh, sweet child, they do not believe. They think they can escape. But everyone is drawn to darkness eventually." Claire shook her head, pushing back against the urge to give in. "Get away from her." Suddenly the sky darkened, the light around them dimming as a gust of cold wind swept through the clearing, swirling around them. Claire felt panic grip her heart as the temperature dropped sharply, her breath visible in the frigid air. "Mom, I'm scared." Tyler cried, and Claire felt her resolve slip. Just then the ground shook again, deeper this time, and Claire stumbled back, pulling her children with her. The woman in white advanced, her face morphing into a snarl, revealing a glimpse of something monstrous beneath the façade. "You cannot escape," she hissed. "You are already mine." With a deep surge of instinct to survive, Claire grabbed her children's hands tightly, and they turned away from the woman, sprinting back toward the path leading deeper into the woods. The laughter returned, now wild and chaotic, drowning out the voice of the woman. They ran, the trees closing in around them, feeling the pulse of something dark and hungry at their heels. Just as they thought they'd found their way, the path shifted, disorienting them. "Mom! It's all wrong!" Lily cried, fear tangling her voice. "What do you mean?" Claire replied, frantically scanning their surroundings. Chilled sweat dripped down her back. "Think we're going in circles." The realization sank their hopes like stones. They were trapped in a nightmare, a labyrinth of shadows that bled endlessly with no exit. But before they could comprehend their grim fate, a loud snapping echoed through the air, drawing their attention. Something moved just beyond the trees. They weren't alone. "Look out!" Claire shouted as a hulking shape lunged into the clearing, its presence swallowing the light whole. What was it now? As it approached, Claire felt her heart plummet. They'd only exchanged one nightmare for another. And then a chilling voice whispered on the wind, seemingly from nowhere. "You should have listened. What would they face next in this harrowing game of survival?" The creature was massive, a twisted mass of shadows that heaved like a stormy ocean. As it emerged from the darkness, Claire's breath caught in her throat. Its eyes glowed red, pulsing with an unnatural hunger, and when it opened its mouth, ragged breaths filled the air, laced with a stench that made Claire gag. It lumbered forward, the ground trembling beneath its weight, each step a death knell for their hope. "Mommy!" Lily squealed, clutching her mother desperately. "Stay close. We need to move," Claire shouted, keeping a tight grip on Tyler's hand. They pivoted, bolting away from the encroaching beast, weaving through the trees that loomed like sentinels, watching their every desperate move. Branches clawed at Claire's arms, leaving angry scratches as they charged deeper into the woods. Each hurried step sent adrenaline coursing through her veins, yet doubt gnawed at her mind. The laughter echoed again, louder this time, swirling around them like an unseen entity throwing a party at their expense. It was as if the woods themselves were in on the hunt, an audience to their despair, and she could sense them moving, shifting to block their escape. "Where are we?" Tyler cried, glancing over his shoulder, fear etched across his little face. "I don't know. Just keep going," she urged, forcing her legs to pump faster, her heart pounding against her ribs in a frantic rhythm. Suddenly, the laughter grew more sinister, the sound morphing into voices, chattering whispers seeping through the trees. "Come play with us, come join us." The words thickened the air, curling around the children, pulling at the edges of their minds. "Mom, I can't hear you," Tyler shouted, the noises rising like a storm, drowning out their panic. Claire's head spun, panic overtaking her. "Focus on me. Don't listen to them," she cried, searching desperately for something, anything, in this vicious tangle of branches and shadows. Then she saw it, a flicker of light peeking through the trees, just beyond the chaos. "This way," she shouted, tugging them toward the faint glow. As they stumbled on, the light pulsed, a beacon flickering to draw them near. Just ahead lay a clearing, bright yet somehow menacing. But before they could reach it, a powerful force stopped them cold. The hulking creature lunged from the darkness, blocking their path with a roar that shook the leaves. Claire gasped, feeling the frigid air solidify around them as if all warmth had been sucked away. The children shrank back, their faces white with terror, and Claire's heart fell as fresh adrenaline surged through her. In that moment, she felt an awful tugging at her mind, as though the shadows wanted to weave despair into her thoughts. Memories of her late husband flooded her mind, squeezing her heart like a vice. "I can't let them take you," she cried, desperation crystallizing her purpose. The thing in front of them snarled, revealing rows of jagged teeth while its eyes blazed. Then from behind them, the woman in white stepped forward, her voice slithering through the air with sickening sweetness. "It's not too late, children. Come to me." Instinctively, Claire turned, putting herself between her kids and the woman. "Don't look at her. Don't listen," she screamed. The ground trembled again, And another scream echoed through the clearing. This one wasn't the children's. It was a sound of anguish, almost human, rising from the earth itself. A burst of light shot into the air, splitting the gloom, and Claire shielded her eyes. What is happening? She could feel the pull of the darkness within her. But the light pushed back, battling against the shadows. But was it a way out or another trick? As night fell deeper, the air thick with uncertainty, the ground beneath her wavered and cracked, a hollow sound echoing like a heartbeat. Mom! Tyler's voice trembled. The bones of the earth stretched, creaking ominously, and Claire was left staring at the burgeoning darkness beside her. Something was coming, and it wouldn't be long now. What would emerge from the shadows to claim them? The ground shook beneath them, a violent tremor that sent Claire to her knees. Fear screamed in her mind, urging her to flee, but the chilling weight of the creature loomed above them, blocking every route of escape. Its maw opened wide, an invitation to hell, and the foul breath clutched at her throat. She couldn't breathe. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, her small voice trembling at the edge of desperation. "I know, honey. Just hold on to my hand," Claire gasped, forcing her feet back down into the earth. She had to stay strong, to fight against the darkness creeping into her thoughts. The shifting shadows whispered promises of safety, coaxing her away from the fight. "Join us, it will all be over soon." The voices were insidious, like sugar coating a poison. Claire shook her head violently, fighting their call. "We have to move," she shouted, ready to face whatever might come next. She yanked the children close, her grip a lifeline as they rushed to the side. Adrenaline surged, giving her the strength she needed to keep pushing, even against the beast that screamed with fury at her defiance. A sudden, brilliant flash of light erupted again, blinding her momentarily. Claire shielded her eyes, calling for the children, "Stay near, don't wander." When she opened her eyes, the clearing had transformed. The once menacing flicker of light calmed, revealing a ring of stones glowing with an eerie luminescence. The shadows seemed to recoil, hissing as if they were alive and aware. The woman in white stood just beyond them, still enticing, still horrifying. "It can't hurt you here," she hissed, a smile stretching unnaturally across her pale face. "Join us, children. You will be safe." "No, you're lying," Tyler shouted, the courage growing in his voice. Even in the face of terror, he was learning to fight. The creature roared, and the earth beneath them cracked deeper, fissures opening wide like mouths lined with jagged teeth, ready to swallow them whole. Claire felt the pull of the darkness trying to drag her in, a cold grip tightening around her heart. "Listen to me," she pleaded, trying to focus on the children's faces rather than the chaos. "If we can reach the light, we can get away." She steadied herself, pushing back against the echoes of madness swirling in her mind. But then, just as hope kindled within her, the ground exploded with a sickening crunch. The stones glittered, sending a shockwave through the air that felt alive, twisting around her. "Mom! What is happening?" Lily cried, terror radiating from her small frame. There's something in the light." Tyler pointed, his voice rising in pitch. A figure emerged, indistinct, blending in and out of reality, like mist caught in moonlight. Before Claire could analyze, shadows morphed around the figure, writhing like serpents hungry for prey. The echoes of laughter morphed again, repeating their sick invitation with manic glee. "Come play with us." "No, we won tea," Claire yelled, steeling herself. It was a battle of will, a fight against overwhelming dread. But as the light flickered and dimmed, Claire felt her resolve thinning. A creeping numbness seeped into her limbs. What if this was truly it? What if they were lost forever? "Mom?" Lily's voice broke through the fog. The innocence in her eyes pierced Claire's heart. She couldn't give in. "Not now. Not ever. Run!" Claire screamed, pushing them towards the flickering light. But the moment they darted forward, the ground shattered around them, pulling at their feet. The creature lunged again, snapping its teeth just inches from her shoulder. The roiling shadows whipped around, seeking to trap them. With a final burst of will, Claire hurled the children towards the struggling light. "Stay together," she cried, feeling the darkness close in on her. Then, right as the shadows began to envelop her, the glowing stones exploded with energy, blinding her completely. Claire gasped as a wave of force slammed into her, tearing her from the pit of despair. As the world faded momentarily, a chilling realization struck her. The beast wasn't just hunting them, it was feeding off their fear. And as they hurtled through the light, fleeing the chaos behind, she wondered just how far the darkness would go to claim them. What would they find in the glow? Is safety just an illusion? The blinding light washed over Claire and the children, a maelstrom of brightness that drowned the cacophony of the creature's roar and the whispers clawing at her mind. For a split second she felt weightless, suspended between fear and hope, as though the very essence of dread had been cast aside. But then the brilliance fractured and shadows crept back in like a thick fog, curling around the edges of their vision. They landed hard, thrown onto a grassy knoll that felt strangely familiar yet foreign. "Are we safe?" Tyler asked, his voice trembling as he strained to catch a glimpse of their surroundings. The serene meadow was washed in gold, but the beauty shattered against the backdrop of their panic. "I don't know," Claire said, scanning the landscape. It felt like a trap, an illusion designed to lure them in, to make them drop their guard. The trees surrounding them stood tall and still, but a sickening tension hung in the air. "Mommy!" Lily cried out, tugging on Claire's sleeve, her big innocent eyes reflecting a dread that made Claire's stomach drop. "Hold on to me," Claire reassured, tightening her grip around her daughter, forcing herself not to succumb to despair. "We need to find a way out of here." A chill raced through the meadow, tinged with an unspeakable sadness. Shadows danced at the periphery of her sight, flitting just beyond the trees. She could almost hear them whispering, echoing reminders of their earlier brush with the creature. "Come play with us," their sing-song voices called again. "Do you hear that?" Tyler exclaimed, the adrenaline thickening in his voice. "Yes. Stay close." The fear was now a visceral thing, crawling beneath her skin, igniting her instincts. She forced the children to move, searching for any sign of escape, anything that would take them away from the sinister beauty of this place. A sudden crack echoed through the air, like a twig breaking underfoot. Claire froze, heart pounding wildly as she turned. A figure lurked at the edge of the trees, crouched low but adorned in glimmering fabric that shimmered in a way similar to the stones they had encountered earlier. That looks like the woman," Tyler whispered, his words tinged with both fascination and fear. The willow branches swayed negligently, revealing more of the figure. The woman in white wore a smile that felt like a blade pressed against Claire's throat. "Welcome back," she called, her voice soft as silk yet cold as ice. "I'm glad you've come home." "Home?" Claire echoed incredulously, wanting to spit the word out like venom. The warmth surrounding her faded, replaced by a biting frost that sent shivers down her spine. "This isn't home." "It is if you wish it to be." The woman stepped forward, and the shadows flitted behind her like eager children awaiting their turn on a merry-go-round. "There's no need to run. Isn't it much nicer here?" Before Claire could respond, a deep rumble vibrated through the ground. The creature was closing in, its presence heavy above the canopy of trees. The glow around them flickered, shadows recoiling as if sensing its approach. "We don't have time for this," Claire yelled, frantically tugging at Lily's hand. "We need to go." The air thickened with desperation as the woman's calm composure shifted to annoyance. "You can't resist forever," she taunted, a manic glint in her eyes. "You'll all be part of this soon enough." A figure appeared at the edge of the glen, dark and enormous, the creature. Its eyes glowed fierce and hungry. "Run!" Claire shouted again, adrenaline surging as they bolted toward the nearest tree line. The world around them felt unreal, warping as if the laws of physics no longer applied. But just as they reached the underbrush, everything went black. The ground opened up beneath their feet, like the jaws of the beast ready to swallow them whole. In those moments of free fall, Claire's heart raced with despair, and she realized that the darkness didn't just consume them. It spoke to them, whispering fears and regrets, shaking the very foundations of her resolve. "Mom! I can't!" Lily screamed. "Hold on!" Claire yelled against the suffocating void. This was never about the darkness outside. It was the shadows within. As they plummeted into nothingness, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that each whispering fear was anchoring them deeper into the darkness. What awaited them in the abyss? Would they find the truth about their fear, or would the darkness claim them body and soul? As they fell, time lost all meaning. Claire's heart raced, pounding a frantic rhythm of terror, as if each beat was a countdown to oblivion. Memories flashed before her eyes, moments of laughter with her children, and the love of her late husband alight in the depths of despair. She clung to the hope that those cherished fragments could guide them through the dark. Suddenly the free fall ceased, replaced by a harsh jolt as they landed on solid ground. Claire staggered back, catching herself before she could lose her resolve. She blinked, adjusting to the oppressive darkness surrounding them. Her breath came in quick bursts. "Tyler! Lily!" she called, hoping they had landed close by. "Mom!" Tyler's voice rose from the shadows, small but inflected with fear. Claire heaved herself forward, scrambling until her hands found him. She pulled him close, relief flooding her senses at the warmth of his body. The darkness pressed in on them, suffocating. Yet it seemed the soft glow of a distant light beckoned from beyond. "Lily!" Claire breathed, frantically searching. Just as panic threatened to engulf her, she saw her daughter, her tiny frame flickering in and out of focus like a candle struggling against the wind. Claire lunged forward, grabbing her, holding the two of them tightly against the backdrop of shadows that whispered their names, taunting them with promises of safety. With her children in tow, Claire stumbled toward the haunting light, urging her legs to carry them faster. The whispers grew more insistent, swirling around their feet, tending to weave into their minds like barbed threads. "Join us, stay with us now," Claire shouted, a raw demand that echoed within the empty space. "We will not listen to you." The light flickered brighter, seeming to reel against the sinister shapes that threatened to drown them. They raced toward it, the sensation like breaking through the surface of dark water. But they weren't alone. The creature's growl vibrated through the ground, and Claire dared a glance over her shoulder. Glaring eyes followed, a twisted maw stretching into a contorted sneer. Time was running out. She quickened her pace, urgency fueling her as they drew closer to the pulsating light. "Hold on to me," she cried, feeling the pounding of her heart in her throat. As they crossed into the core of the glow, a brilliant surge enveloped them. An intense warmth washed over her, tinged with the scent of blooming flowers, replacing the damp chill that had clutched their hearts and a heartbeat. They stood in a new world, a lush, vibrant field that felt alive with possibility. The shadows thinned, retreating like roots pulled from bitter soil. "Is this?" Lily's voice trembled, trailing off in wonder. The fear ebbed, replaced by an astonishing calm. "Look!" Tyler exclaimed, pointing at a figure emerging from the golden mist. It was a woman, yet different, a silhouette cast in soft light, with kind eyes that radiated warmth. "You're safe now," she called gently, her voice healing and soothing. "The darkness can't hold you here." "Who are you?" Claire whispered, the weight of despair lifting momentarily. "I protect this realm," the woman replied, her smile soft. "You have faced the shadows and your courage brought you here. Learn that true strength comes from love, not fear." Claire felt tears prick her eyes, the truth settling deep within her. "But my home, Cedar Creek, just as a flower blooms from darkness, you can find new beginnings. Let go of the shadows that bind you." With those words, the sun broke through the clouds, flooding the meadow with golden light. It washed away the scars of fear, illuminating the path forward. And as Claire stood, gripping her children tight, she felt the weight of Cedar Creek slip away, the tendrils of fear loosening their grasp. It wouldn't be easy, it couldn't erase everything. But together, they could step beyond the veil of terror that haunted them. "Mom, do you think we're really free?" Tyler asked, eyes wide with cautious hope. "Together we are," Claire replied, voice steady and resolute. "We are free to create a new story. One filled with love, laughter and light. One that the shadows cannot touch." Hand in hand they stepped forward into that transformed horizon. A world alive with possibility, leaving Cedar Creek a memory overshadowed by hope. As dawn broke, illuminating their path, Claire's heart filled with warmth. The darkness may linger behind closed doors, but she learned that true strength lay within. They could outshine any shadow together. And in that heartfelt moment, Claire realized that fear might never truly vanish, but love made them invincible. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss more exclusive stories like this. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, theories and reactions. Don't hold back. And for the love of suspense, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to support the channel. You're part of this journey.